Good morning or afternoon or evening, whatever time you're listening. This is Thriving Together, a podcast for parents with chronic illnesses. We are your hosts, Holly
Jenna.
and we always like to start out the podcast with our favorite question, asking a little bit of how we are doing on the real sense of are you thriving or surviving? How are you doing today, Jenna?
Today, I would say surviving. Last night was rough, but it's been a rainy week here, so you know, we're moving into the change of weather and it's like 90 degrees in the morning and like 40 degrees at night. So a lot of fun stuff.
Yes.
But how are you? Thriving or surviving?
I am going to go a little bit with probably more surviving. Life has been very full lately. It's been very good, but I feel very exhausted by it. And Jenna, I have some news that I want to share with everybody.
So excited.
A reason that life is maybe a little bit more full right now is that we are actually expecting our second. And so we are going to be welcoming a little boy this January.
Woo! I'm so excited for you guys.
Yes, it has been a journey to get here, and we got a few more months to go. But I would say overall, like, I'm enjoying life, but I mean, I'm definitely surviving it too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you have a lot going on. That is for sure.
Definitely moments where like we can celebrate some wins, but overall pretty exhausting.
Yeah, I bet. I absolutely bet.
Well, this kind of brings us right to our like beautiful little segue into today's topic of just asking some questions about how maybe this pregnancy is different than my last pregnancy and how my juvenile rheumatoid arthritis is kind of like played a part in that. And then we'll also just kind of talk about that decision of expanding or not expanding families. And so, are you ready to just kind of dive in this morning?
Yeah, let's do it. So, why don't we start off with, did your chronic illness act differently between this pregnancy and your first?
It's a good question. I I think that my first pregnancy, because at the time with that rheumatologist, we were having really intentional conversations. My treatment plan at that time really hadn't changed because we had already picked a medication, an infusion at that time that was going to be something sustainable that I could be on throughout pregnancy and if I chose to breastfeed afterwards. And during that pregnancy, I would say like my condition was pretty well managed. I didn't really feel like there were times where I had any flare ups or I really noticed my like that tiredness of arthritis. I know it might sound really funny, but I can really tell a difference in my body between, oh, this is an arthritis tired feeling, and my like joints are tired, or oh, I feel my knees are really hot right now, or I'm really stiff versus the pregnancy tired of like it just is uncomfortable in my body.
Yeah.
But they really do manifest differently.
Mhm.
So I was able to tell that difference. With this pregnancy, again, we kind of made that choice of what medication was going to be helpful if we did choose to have another pregnancy. And then if we do breastfeeding afterwards as well too. This time I'm doing a shot that I do once a month. And this works out a little bit better for our family just because I no longer have 2 hours that I can devote to just sitting in my infusion center, even though I kind of miss it.
You know
it
what?
used to be
That was the place to be. They give you a warm blanket and a snack. It was great.
I equate it to like the closest thing I've ever had to a spa day.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm disappointed in myself that I've never brought in like a face mask or like fully made it a spa day. I think I usually just watch like Grey's Anatomy and
Just
just
is what
like
you want to
ate
watch.
snacks. Yes, the setting was right.
That's right.
So this time I do actually notice, especially at the beginning, that my arthritis actually was more active.
Mm.
when I came off of naproxen for my first pregnancy, to be truthful, probably because I wasn't really good at taking it. So it didn't really affect me a lot when I came off of it. And then this pregnancy, I had been a lot more consistent with my medications. And so when I came off of it, I noticed right away lots of stiffness, days where I like felt flashbacks back to like middle school where I like wake up like a 90-year-old grandma with my like joints just locked in place and like Tin Manny, and we would make some jokes about like I think I need some oil.
So that's so interesting that like, well, I mean the consistency, I mean that makes sense, but just the difference between both pregnancies. And I wonder if they were two different medications, right?
There were,
Yeah.
yes, yep. So my first was an infusion, so I'm not sure if that maybe had an effect as well. And right now I'm doing a monthly biologic shot. Well, it's technically two shots, but once a month there.
Yeah. A little fun fact for our listeners. Holly and I we're our schedules are synced up. Our treatment schedules are synced up. So when we forget when something's due, we just have to message each other. So that's
This is, yeah, this is like the hack that you did not know you needed.
mhm.
That everyone should link up their, whether it's their like shot, their infusion cycle, whatever it is, with their like best like spoony friend.
Mhm.
Because there have been many times that I have texted Jenna like, "Do you get your infusion this week? Are we due?
Yeah,
Should I
we
order
do.
my shot?"
Yeah. Yeah, and it's actually kind of nice because, we both have children around the same age, and of course there's questions and like, I have an infusion at home, so sometimes my son comes home and my nurse is there and I'm hooked up and he's like, "What is that?"
Yes.
And he comes over, he
Yep.
comes running and he wants to jump on top of me. And my nurse is like, "Oh, let's not do that." But I'm sure you guys are experiencing the same thing with the injection as well. I'm sure your child wants to be a part of that.
Absolutely. I actually had to set a boundary with her and disappoint her a little bit, but she asked me the other day, "Mama, when is it time for my turn? It's my turn to do your shot." I was like, "Girl, I love the confidence, but absolutely not." We got some years to go before we're going to let you try.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, that's for sure.
I have convinced her that, oh, your job is the band-aids. Yeah. And she takes that very serious. We pick out whether it's Peppa Pig, Gabby Cat, Bluey, whatever it is. I'm always got the stylish band-aids going on.
I like it. I like it. So,
I know we like is a little side, but I will say her being a part of that treatment process at home for us has actually really allowed her not to have a fear of shots.
ooh,
We have gone in for like our vaccines, and I was just astonished last year that like she would go in and she was like, "Yep, you got to do it in my legs like my mama does." And she just like there was no cry at all. There was like we take a deep breath and be brave, and she just did it, and I was so incredibly proud of her. And I hadn't realized in that moment that, oh, actually her seeing me be brave, or like me say, yes, it does hurt, but like I'm gonna just take a deep breath and be brave here. That had such a positive effect for her.
that is awesome. I never even considered that, but I can totally see where that would come into play. It's very funny.
Yes.
I'm not on methotrexate right now because I cry like a big baby. And I make my husband give me the shot because I can't do it myself. Used
Yes.
to be able to, but now I can't do it anymore. Um, no, but I definitely I'm very tearful during it, so it's a good thing he doesn't see that. But I do agree, like he doesn't obviously know what the infusion feels like, but we're starting to see like when he comes into the house after his end of his day
Yeah.
at daycare, and if my nurse is there and I'm having an infusion, like he's not hesitant anymore to come up. Like before, he would kind of like sit back a little bit, be like,
Yeah.
"What's going on?" He's a very observant child. Like he wants to understand what's going on before he's willing to come in to the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really interesting, like having our treatments at home and seeing how our kids react to it. Now,
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about how your treatments changed. You picked different medications this time. You took naproxen more consistently before having to come off on the second pregnancy. Any other changes that you had to make?
So far, no. I think that this pregnancy, I have noticed a couple times where um, I do feel a little bit more stiffness than I did with my first. I think maybe a big factor in that not only is like the medication maybe I'm on, or, just also I think the ability to give my body rest with my first,
Mm.
there was a lot of resting. I was doing lots of naps.
I love that for you.
And I was able to, like, just, I remember having these moments of like, okay, like I can get up, and then when I'm tired, I can go take a nap. And the job that I had at that time had a lot more flexibility where I would sometimes have these like 3 hour breaks in the day where I could go home and take a nap. And now my life is just a little bit different where I am actually working a job from like a set time to a set end time. So I don't have that flexibility during my day to have any rest time, or actually like my job is pretty like sedentary, so I don't actually have a lot of time to do that movement time,
Mm.
which also has that effect for us.
Yes.
And then when I get home, it's almost this like hyper movement of like, okay, we gotta go, we gotta go. We got bath time, and now we gotta, do this. And did you grab this? And now we gotta do bedtime. And then by the time that I'm done, I am just so exhausted. And so I think that that has been a factor this time as well, too.
Hmm.
Right now, I'm doing my best to give myself that rest and really having to check in with myself of I can't do everything, even though maybe I could do these things in my last pregnancy, that my plate is more full and I need to account for that versus holding myself to just this one expectation of like, you do all of the things all of the time.
Yeah, and I think it's just that reminder because even not pregnant, we still have to have
Yes,
conversations with ourselves, especially how the whole pregnancy thing that adds an additional layer to it. Now,
absolutely.
one thing I'm so curious about, because this was a hot topic for me, is I was so anxious when we were trying to conceive the thought of, okay, well, what's my arthritis going to look like during my pregnancy? Being already having a child and now pregnant again, do you feel more or less anxious or about the same with, you know, how is my arthritis going to act or how are my chronic illnesses going to manage through this?
Yeah. It's a huge difference
Mhm.
for me, to be honest. My first pregnancy, definitely reflectively, I can notice that there were elements of like perinatal depression and anxiety that was happening because there were so many unknowns. And pregnancy, it is difficult because you're in it for a long time. And there were definitely moments with my first pregnancy where I really questioned, like, am I going to get through this? What is this going to be like for me? Am I going to have a huge setback with my condition because I went forward with this? And there was a lot of anxiousness, especially about postpartum.
Yeah.
I just kept on hearing this like echoing voice from a seminar that I had attended one time of, you are going to flare so bad that if you think that you are going to be able to breastfeed, you might not even be able to hold your baby. And I was like, I might not be able to hold this baby.
Yeah.
And
Maybe were
was
we at the
so
same
nervous.
seminar? We may have been.
Yes. Maybe fear was toned up a little bit.
A little bit.
My first pregnancy, actually, my postpartum, it went really well. I don't really feel like I noticed that return of stiffness to my joints until about the 8 week mark, postpartum. And with this one, that actually has been so helpful is that I know that I do get that buffer time. My first pregnancy, we did, it ultimately, kind of based on that seminar, I decided not to try breastfeeding because I just was very anxious of holding myself to this standard of you got to push through it. You got to push through it. And I was like, if you can't hold the baby, that's where you got to start. Don't add anything more. Just focus there. Just focus on bonding, get through it. And that's what we chose to do. And I do think that it was the right decision for us in that moment. But I also, with this pregnancy, feel actually confident that I can try that choice. So that is something that is different from this pregnancy from our last, is that we are going to try to do like some combination of like breastfeeding or pumping or like formula too. I like that I'm not really married to the idea of we got to try like breastfeeding or like we have to make this work. I really am in a place of like I have an opportunity where I get to try it, but I also will really just listen to my body. And if it's not working, this is a solution that works out really well because I've already seen it. So I don't have that like layer of guilt that I think that some moms carry. Um,
Yeah.
Especially if they like do choose to do like breastfeeding that like first round. I just already am like, I get this opportunity, and actually, I'm gonna like label it like it is a privilege to try to do this. But if it doesn't work for my body, there are definitely things where I am already considering like, is that going to be really worth it? Like the way that my like arms can like come close to my body is like pretty rigid. And so I'm worried about being able to like hold myself or hold baby in certain positions, especially for extended periods of time, where I'm really going to check in of like, if that's not working for me or for baby, if we both are getting really frustrated because my body just doesn't have that same degree of flexibility, then that's okay. And I can just let that go. And I think that my anxiety just like really shows there of I can accept if that doesn't work, that's okay because it's a privilege to be able to do that. And this is not like a less than choice. These are just choices that we get to make as women for ourselves.
I love that perspective on it. And Holly, you don't have to answer this. I can always give my perspective on it too. But when you made the decision to formula feed, did you feel that your support system or those around you had any feelings about that?
I feel my partner had no feelings on it,
Yeah.
which was great. I actually really appreciate that. He was like, "This is your body, and like, we're just gonna do this." I do remember one moment, our like timing of things actually ended up where the US was having a formula shortage.
Yeah.
And so I think we were like 3 months postpartum, and I was like frantically YouTubing like how to like restart lactating. And my husband was like, I don't think that we should do that. Or
I love
that's
his
the
support of
thing.
you. I love that.
And was actually a good voice of reason and was like, this does not mean anything less. Like, our baby is happy and she is fed. And like, we have been making it work. I know that there's like anxieties in here, but like, we are taking the best care of her, and like don't add this pressure onto yourself. Like, you can't predict that this was going to happen. And so I actually really appreciated that he was fully supportive of like, no, actually this does make sense for us. I think in terms of those like outside of that, I got a lot of like default assumptions kind of both ways. One was just in the way of like, oh, well, you're breastfeeding, right? And then having to present, no, I'm not. And I do feel there was a lot of pieces where I would then have to justify my why for that choice. And this time around, like, I don't feel like I would have to justify anything. I don't owe anyone a justification of what works right for me. I heard a lovely quote of, if it's not your boobs, you don't get any opinion.
I love
And that's just like, period.
it. Period. Yeah, on that.
Period.
So, like, for if you're a new listener, my child is adopted, so I did not give birth to him. So obviously, breastfeeding was not an option. Okay, that was not an option. Um,
Yes.
and we do not look alike, so it's noticeable he is adopted. Like you can tell he is adopted, and people, of course, they have I had a lot of people be like, well, oh, don't you wish you could be breastfeeding him? And it just feels like sometimes those comments are like, why
Yeah.
would you even say that? Like, that that's not an option. There's no point in saying it. At the end of the day, my child is fed, he is growing,
Yes.
and he's happy, and that's what mattered. And I agree. That's exactly it. Like, at the end of the day, it's not their child. It's not their problem. We will do us,
Yes.
and they can do them, and we'll just leave it at that. But they're at the end of the day, fed is best, and our pediatrician repeatedly said that finding whatever works best for you and your family is important.
Absolutely. And I think that we've touched on this in some other episodes, but I actually am so grateful that like my partner had all those opportunities to be actually a 50-50 partner. He knew the eating schedule. He knew like how many ounces we were on. He knew what to do to prepare that. And I didn't have to guide him through that. I didn't have to micromanage or like be the project manager of the feeding.
Yeah,
He was able to just seamlessly step in. And I think that that actually really gave him and our daughter such a foundation of their bond together is that he truly was like a 50-50 partner.
yeah. I totally agree with that because we brought our little guy home and he needed some additional calories, so we were like mixing up special formulas with the scale,
Yeah.
and it took a lot off of my plate knowing that he could go and make that bottle or he could prep those bottles in advance, and like I never once had to think about, is that right? Or um you know are there bottles made? Because chances are my husband took care of them. Like he was
Yeah.
a true partner through and through the whole time. And I agree. I think that bonding happened too, and it allowed me to have additional rest too, because there's obviously babies have feeding schedules.
Yeah.
We would switch off on different shifts, and it just gave us that opportunity to have some real rest and allow my body to rest, especially after infusions or things like that. Like I didn't have to worry if something went wrong during my infusion and I was in the hospital that he could not take care of him. I knew for a fact that my child would be well cared for.
Absolutely. I think that going into like this stage of like pregnancy and postpartum, I really am like holding almost this like internal question with myself of like, if this doesn't feel like good pressure for you, why are we holding on to it?
Yeah.
And allowing myself to just release it. Those are like outside opinions. And to be frank, like they're not in my house. Like that
Yeah.
pressure isn't coming from inside the house.
Yeah, sometimes just like drowning out that outside noise.
Yes.
So we've talked about this a little bit, but now you're balancing your chronic illness, being a mother already, and your other parts of life. How are you doing
I'm surviving.
it?
I think overall, like in transparency, my life is very full right now. And I actually am really looking forward to this like postpartum stage because it actually allows me the space to rest. And I've carved out more time than I did with my first. We're being a lot more intentional. I think that there will actually be rest, family time, and also moments of maybe just some like enjoyment,
Yeah.
not like actually like thriving. So that is my plan for postpartum right now. Just the timing of things, I do feel that our life is very busy, and I feel already the loominess of the holidays coming up. There may or may not be Christmas packages coming today to be hidden to
Oh
help
yeah.
myself not feel stressed. Baby, it should be a January baby, but it also very well could be pretty close to December. So we are
Mm.
hoping and saying like baby brother comes after Christmas, and I'm like hoping that he hears that of like after Christmas, dude. Like I need to get through this. But that definitely has changed like some of our like holiday plans and just like trying to juggle already a really busy time of holidays with the addition of like, oh, I like literally am gonna be like 39 weeks pregnant.
Yeah, I agree with that shopping early though, because I do too. I loved last year I had all of my shopping done before November. Like it was done
I'm
like
loving it.
mid-October. And I loved it. And I wrapped them early too. So
Oh,
I didn't, like because the holidays are just so fatiguing. Like it's snowing,
yes,
it's cold. Like I don't want to have to be fighting with the tape. So I wrapped them
yes.
early. And to be honest with you, it's like a little surprise on Christmas for me too. When he opens presents, I'm like, oh my gosh, you got that. 'Cause I definitely don't remember. So my the
Yes,
box, like, which one's it?
yes.
um, yeah, it's a nice little surprise for all of us. So yeah, but
Yeah.
all right,
So I think a lot of planning ahead for future is like how I'm trying to
yeah,
balance a little bit. I definitely will call myself out that I probably could do a better job of just like giving myself some rest.
mhm.
Something that I tried to do is just like take off a few days, just like at least one day a month where it's not for a doctor's appointment, it's not because I'm sick, it's not because there's an illness in the house, but genuinely a day where like I can just exist,
Oh, I love that.
to give myself a little buffer time.
I love that because it's usually like for appointments. I'm like, all right, well, you know what? I
Yes,
have an afternoon appointment, but I'll take the day today and give myself the day. When in really, it's just like anxious the whole time leading up to the appointment, and then
for
the
sure.
appointment.
Yes. Or I decide, oh, since I'm home, then like my daughter doesn't have to go to
Oh
daycare and
yeah,
I'll just take her. And I'm like, we're not going to do that this time because I would love just like for uninterrupted hours. That sounds magical currently to me.
oh I bet, oh I bet. Now, I guess that kind of leads in like, what lessons did you learn from your first pregnancy that you're taking over to your second pregnancy here? You're ready, you're getting ready to cope with things differently. You're, planning your
Yeah,
stuff
I
differently.
think we've kind of like already talked about this a bit, but if I like could summarize it in a theme of just leave what doesn't work for you and your family and just like take what does.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to hold that to be true for myself this year of whether it's like society like pressures or family pressures of just if it's not going to work for me and my family, I already actually know what the outcome is going to go. I'm going to go. I'm going to feel stressed out leading up to it. If you are like me, stress also comes with like a lot of snippiness
Oh,
at those
yeah.
around you. So I'm probably going to get snippy with my partner, going to be stressed out, going to grin and bear whatever event or obligation it was, and then get home and be like, why do we do that? I don't feel good doing that. And this time I'm just gonna really say like I don't have to show up in spaces that aren't helpful or good for my family. Like I'm gonna really hold that boundary with myself of I need to really just be focusing on the places that make us feel good and nurtured.
Yeah, we did a topic on this last holiday season on how we handle the holidays. So
Yes.
if you want to listen back to that, there is an episode out there for you to listen to. But I am the same way. I definitely get a little snippy when um, things aren't going the way I had planned in my head. So that I hope you hold those boundaries firm. I think that's a good idea.
Yes. We will maybe do a check in
Yeah.
closer to December and see how I'm doing. Maybe a little accountability buddies, guys. Um, but I think it really is just releasing what doesn't work. Try to do less.
Yeah.
Also, having a girl first and now a boy, I got to just kind of like purge all of our things. And I'm being really intentional with even that piece of actually, I would get kind of overwhelmed. Did she wear this outfit? Should we wear it today? What is she wearing today? And now I'm like, nope, it's all zipper pajamas. That's like it.
But don't bring me anything else, please.
Yeah.
If it's a snap, I don't want it. I
No, if
don't want
it's,
it.
I'm not, I'm probably actually just gonna sell it
Yeah,
or give it away. I'm not gonna use it. I'm not gonna feel obligated to do that. I just like really feel in a place of, I know the core pieces of what a newborn needs. And
yeah,
I think we've talked about this piece too of like, I'm going to be making sure that those basic needs are met, of like, basic needs got met, what needed to get done got done, and this baby is loved.
yeah,
And at the end of the day, that's all I need. And so if that looks like we sat on the couch and watched Peppa Pig for like most of the day, that's okay.
yeah.
Baby got fed, toddler got fed, we all got snuggle time, and it was a successful day because they still are loved.
Exactly. And I will say, like, on the zipper thing for a second, I don't think my child was in anything other than a zipper onesie for the first 3 months of his life.
Yes.
Like 4 months, I started to dress him up a little bit, but like he spit up on everything anyway. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know how hard it is to change a child like that? I mean, you do, but like,
Yes, I
throughout
feel
the day, I'm
you.
like, all right, bud, or, well, we're out of real clothes, so we're back to zippers.
Yes.
So,
He and I are both going to be in pajamas for at least 2 months, for sure.
minimum,
Yes.
minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah. Oh, God. So now, we talked about having to. Let's talk about the decision. One or
Yes.
more.
Yes.
So
So,
go ahead.
yeah, this was a decision actually. If I think back to like my first pregnancy, I do remember a few people asking like right away, like, "Oh, are you gonna have more? Are you gonna have more?" And honestly, at that time, our answer was, "We really don't know, but this feels like enough." And that's really where we sat for a very long time. My first, as we kind of have mentioned, that pregnancy did not go well for me. I had some hyperemesis. Very thankful that this pregnancy has been much more manageable. Still, probably a higher morning sickness than maybe an average pregnancy, but compared to my last, it's like a little dream. So that's great. Um, but honestly, the like piece of like my like mental health during pregnancy, just how ill I was, we were really at a place of like, I don't know if we will do this again, and that's okay. Eventually, we kind of got to a place of, okay, I think that we want to. Um, when we finally got there, we did actually encounter some secondary infertility that we were able to overcome. But it definitely was a longer process. And really, throughout that process, like our heart was like, we feel like we're in a spot of like, we wanted to try this, but I also could release the idea of expanding our family if it wasn't going to work for us.
Right.
So I felt in a very comfortable spot there. How about for you, Jenna? How has this conversation gone for you guys in the house?
Yeah, so, right now I think we're in a spot where this feels like enough for us. I don't want to ever close the door on something. But, you know, for our newer listeners, I've had a hysterectomy, so we will not be having a biological child. Um, our planning looks a little bit different on whether or not we want to, introduce a second child into our family and going through that process again. You know, um, I think when we sit down and talk about it, maybe one day we may have a second. We might go through the process again. The process is very time consuming. It's like an invasion of your privacy.
Yeah,
It's it's a little different this time around because we do have our son already, and we have to make sure. Okay, well, if we don't want to get his hopes up and say, okay,
yeah,
you know what, we matched with somebody,
right.
we are expecting a baby, and then that that birth mother rightfully makes the decision to parent, and that's
Yeah,
absolutely her choice, and we would 100% support that. But explaining that to a 2-year-old, or a 3 or 4-year-old can be a little difficult. There's going to be a lot of feelings
right.
about that, and we just have to make sure when we do it. I want to make sure he's at an age that he can understand. Like she gets to make these decisions.
Yeah.
We're going to support them, and we're happy for the outcome, either way. But we get to have our feelings about it, and we can talk about it as a family. Um, we're not there yet, uh,
Yeah.
and I think it's going to take some more time. I think it's definitely a lot more conversations need to be had. But right now, we're happy with our family unit. We have a good rhythm going. We don't really
Yeah.
feel the desire right now to add a second. Again, I definitely think it's like time based. Maybe as you older as he gets, or the older that we get, we might be like, you know what? Yeah, I think we do want to have a second and expand our family.
Yeah. Jenna, it sounds like within your guys' family, there's actually so much peace about this decision right now. And yes, like a very intentional conversations, but right now, like having a lot of acceptance and peace for like where you are right now in life. How do you handle or notice societal pressures around having more? Or sometimes, right, there's those comments about like, oh, well, an only child is
Oh
X,
yeah.
Y, Z. Like, how does that get managed for you? Or what do you kind of notice?
Oh, I feel like anytime we go to any event, it's do you want more? And it's like, not really, not right now. We're good. Well, he's gonna be so lonely. Doesn't he want a sibling? And I'm like, well, to be honest with you, right now he has our full attention.
Yeah.
Has cousins that love him very much, and he loves them. Um, I definitely don't think he's definitely not lonely. Um, he has his friends, and we go out and do things, and I think uh I think there's always that pressure. I mean, I feel it as soon as somebody says something like later that night we're laying in bed, I'm like, do you think we need to have a second? Do you think we should have a second right now? And my partner, he he is definitely that voice of reason. He's like, no, we don't make decisions based on what like
Yes.
other people think. We make decisions because we want to do them, not because they want us to do something. Like, yeah, yeah, you're right, you're right. Good talk, good talk. And so it's sometimes like those reminders. And I wish I was in the mindset that he's in, where like he's just like, let them say things. They have no idea what they're talking about. And I'm just like, but why would they say that? Like, not like I don't understand why people make comments that they do, especially like kind of knowing
Right.
our situation. Like, it doesn't really feel appropriate. It's never appropriate to ask somebody if or when they're going to have kids. Let's draw that blanket
Yeah.
statement out there. It's never okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can echo that a little bit, especially like going through some of those infertility struggles that we would get those questions of like, oh, well, maybe she needs a sibling, or like, don't you want, like, directly asking our like toddler, don't you
Oh yeah,
want a little brother or sister? And those moments absolutely would kind of gut me. Most of the time, I will say, like, those kind of came from strangers who did not know me. I'm actually going to reflect like a different kind of pressure a little bit that I experienced this a little. No, I did. I'm minimizing. I actually experienced some of the pressure of like, Holly, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe
yeah,
you shouldn't have another. And even like when we announced our like pregnancy with her first, I remember getting comments from some family members of, well, I thought that you couldn't have kids. I thought that you weren't supposed to do that. And I think just blanket statement, we need to stop putting opinions onto other people's like reproductive and family planning
right,
journeys because you don't know what is going on for that individual.
right,
And I'm going to be honest, like if you have those curiosity questions, actually what that tells me is that you don't know that person well enough to trust their decision. And so you shouldn't be making these comments at all. And just to take a step back of just because you're curious or you think that it should be just one way does not mean it is. And maybe that's not a conversation that you guys should be having with whatever level relation this is.
yeah,
Because it was, I mean, like both ways, it just felt horrible to hear of either. I know that my daughter really likes the idea of a sibling, and would be a great big sister, and my body is really struggling, and I am only able to do so much about this. This is like outside of our control. And then the vice versa of I have really made this very conscious decision with my partner, with my healthcare team to have this pregnancy that it's it's not a decision, especially when you have a chronic illness, that we would ever take lightly.
Right.
Uh, yes, maybe there are those situations where like a pregnancy happens, but to just assume that that person is not deeply thinking about like how this affects all facets of their life is just a big misconnect.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think a lot of it is like, when we were trying before we found out, there were infertility issues, there was conversations with just the two of us. There was conversations with my healthcare providers and, oh, well, what's this going to look like? Did they think this is a good time for me to conceive? Talking with, OBGYNs, like, what are your thoughts on this situation? Finding one that
Yeah,
has worked with patients like myself and like you and who, have been on some medications in our lives that may have impacted infertility, and we don't have a bunch of studies on that yet to
yeah,
talk through that. And there was just it's a big decision to make, um, and we definitely don't take it lightly. And I also want to add on to the whole when they ask your child if they want a sibling thing, I'm like, my child's two. He says yes to everything. So like please
for
don't hurt
sure.
my feelings when you ask my child if he wants a sibling and he says yeah. Because he's gonna
Yeah.
say yeah to everything. And it is gonna wreck me because I take things personally. So
Absolutely. Yeah. We definitely, I feel like there is, like, maybe we'll like talk about that piece too, is there is some of that felt guilt of like, do I need to like do this for my child?
yes. Oh my gosh,
And that,
yes.
yeah, it's a weird spot. And then I had to kind of like think, and I'm like, they're a toddler.
Like,
Like,
he doesn't get a say in this.
yeah, like why would I do this? Like, this is not a child's choice. Like, this is a grown-up choice. And like, yes, maybe there are times where they miss like the idea of having a sibling. But also, I guarantee I'm gonna hear from both of these children. I wish I did not have a sibling.
Oh yeah.
Where like that is just very normal on both sides, and not something that actually, we call this like a maladaptive guilt of I feel guilty about something, but I don't actually have to feel guilty because I don't make decisions solely on the wants of my child. I make decisions on my values and having those intentional conversations. And that's where I am. Like, I make this choice.
I love that. Do you think now I know you have siblings and I do too. I'm one of four. So
Yes.
it's I for me it's like, okay, well, I had this growing up. I had this sibling bond. I'm like, do I, like I want that for him, but like I don't know if that's the right choice for us. And I like, have you experienced any of that kind of guilt? How have you worked through that?
Yeah. So, my family, I'll share, I am one of five girls with a
I knew
span of
that.
21 years. Yeah, all girls. So I'm
Nice.
not gonna lie, listeners. Hearing that I was having a boy, I was like, "Oh, what?" I don't actually know what that is.
Yes. That's how it was for us. Like my son was the first boy on our whole side of the family. I was like,
Yes,
they're like, what do we do with that?
yes. I'm like looking up like how do you say dinosaur names? Like I need to like practice now.
That's so funny. Okay, so one of five girls.
One of five girls, and this baby will be number like my side of the family 12 for grandkids.
Love that.
So, yes, I had moments where, like, I'm really close to not all of my sisters, but most of my sisters, where I'm communicating with them nearly daily. if not daily.
Yeah, on that.
And like we have a very active like family group chat, and like now that some of my nieces and nephews are older, now they're a part of our group chat. And I think that they're like for our family is so much extended connection already that I wasn't worried as much. I think that my husband and I had a conversation of, our daughter has such a good bond with her cousins. And this just looks like, even though they live about 2 hours away from us, putting that intention in so that they have opportunities to see each other. So they do like sleepovers together. And even though there's a bit of an age gap, like they all play really well together. So that lessened some of the pressure. We don't do a lot of like daycare or school stuff, so that was kind of a worry of mine. I'm like, is she going to be socialized? Is she going to be weird? Um, but she's just a kid. She hangs out with her cousins and comes back with like new little phrases like, I'm bored. Like, we're eating dinner. You're
Oh yeah,
using that wrong.
I know. We were sitting at dinner one day, and he goes, "What the heck?" I said, "Where did you learn that from?"
Yes.
And of course, he told me his cousins taught him that, and I was like, "That's
Yes.
cool."
I do love that these toddlers are so quick to throw whoever it is
Oh,
under the bus.
oh yeah, real
Usually
fast.
it's like my dad, my papa,
Mhm.
my cousin, and I will say 8 out of 10 times when I call them up, they're like, I did not do that. She is not being truthful.
Oh yeah. I mean, like, so like my stepdad, so we were like no sweets the first, very first
Yeah.
parenting, like no sweets. He doesn't need that before one or two,
Yes.
definitely at this point, like we're like, all right, you want gummy bears for breakfast, all right, whatever. It is what it is at this point.
Yeah. It's a popsicle day. Yes.
Okay, food's food. But that like first, so we're like, I'm standing there and I'm like, oh, we'll give him a cookie for the first time. And my stepdad looks at me and goes, he's had a cookie before. And I was like, no, he hasn't. This is his first cookie. He goes, oh yeah, yeah, it's definitely his first cookie.
Oh.
And then one day we're sitting there doing flashcards, working on our letters, and it was a donut for D, and he goes, a donut, Mimi Grampy House. And I said, what? I called my parents up. I said, did you give did you give him a donut? And they're like, what do you mean? I said I held up a donut card and it said Mimi and Grampy House. She goes, okay, yeah, we give him a donut every time he comes over. I was like, oh my gosh. He threw him right under the bus. And I think that's so funny. Toddlers are
I love it.
funniest. They say things and
Yes.
all right, cool, let's roll with that.
Yes.
So I guess we'll
I'm
go ahead.
yeah, I'm just really marked by like these moments that we have with our kids. They just are so pure in themselves
Oh yeah.
that I think that sometimes we can zoom in on one piece of like insecurity or one piece of like, I'm not 100% on this. And if we stay too stuck there, you miss all these really great, just like genuine moments. And being able to just like zoom out to say, yeah, maybe that door is like cracked a little bit, or like maybe it is shut for our family, but our family is functional, it is healthy, it is loved, and that is what we measure. We don't measure the amount of children that we have. Let's
Right.
measure the amount of love that is just being felt.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think at the end of the day, this is the choice that we made. Right now, we're set with where we're
Yeah.
at, but we're not closing the door on anything. And um, you know, people they just will have to learn to accept it or keep their thoughts and comments to themselves about it because it's not their family and it's not their lives. You
Yes.
know. So, all
All
right.
right. Well, as we're kind of coming to a close, Jenna and I do have one more announcement that we will do. So, obviously, our lives are a bit full right now, and you might have noticed that we have slowed down a little bit with our posting. You are going to see that break continue to happen as, especially, I go into my maternity leave and the holiday times. But you will probably see us come back for a few, like, just surprise episodes here and there. But we really hope that you guys are still able to connect with us on our social media. So, Thriving Together Podcast on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We are on Spotify. Please go ahead and leave those comments. Maybe this is a time where you look back at our other videos, give those a listen, get caught up, and let us know how you would like us to interact with you after our break. Um, are there topics that you still want to hear? Are there things that resonate with you? Obviously, like doing a podcast, especially being two young moms and having chronic illnesses, takes up a lot of time, and it is something that really our hearts feel called to do. And seeing that we have even like one impact makes that worth it for us. And so, if anything that we have talked about in any of our podcasts resonates with you, please, please, please let us know. Leaving a comment, 5-star rating, sharing it on your own social media platforms. That way, we know that we are having that impact and that you guys are still here listening to our voices.
Yeah. Thank you for listening in.
Yes. Until next time, we will see you.
Bye.
Bye.